What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by A Plain Truth, Pete Shea, Nummy Num, Alan and Arwin. How are you all doing?
Wunderbar.
Wunderbar.
Good, Nathan. Thank you.
All is flat.
All is flat, indeed.
So, Alan, I'm interested to ask you to. I'm requesting that you provide scientific evidence that galaxies exist.
Really?
Yeah. Really? You got it? How would you even begin to formulate such an argument?
Well, I could show you some of my photos. Would that help?
No.
No. Well, you could. So let's see your photos.
What could I show you that would prove it?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Because
this is supposedly an established fact, and I think that there's actually
by your track
really
record,
zero proof that galaxies exist.
by your track record, all you do is say everything is wrong, dribble on with saying nothing at all.
We've not shown us yet.
Finishing one sentence.
Well, that's
scientific evidence.
That's all you do.
No, that's actually all you do, Alan.
No, it isn't. I've got photographs. I've got evidence.
Well, show them then.
Okay, let's see it.
Okay, I'll sort some photographs for you.
So you
got
have
nothing, numpty.
No, I've got questions. I say.
No, you haven't. Oh, that's all you've got. Everything is wrong in your book, even Arwin.
No, I'm saying that there's no scientific evidence that galaxies exist.
What do you think the moon's made of? Cheese?
Don't know. We don't know.
It's made of light.
So the moon existing proves that galaxies exist?
The moon is made of galaxies.
The moon is made of galaxies, right? Yeah. No, I'm saying that
Pete knows a lot about the moon.
What I want to do here is just I'm just trying to say to the audience and the large number of people that are gonna watch this that there's actually zero evidence that galaxies even exist, and if you try to like look into it, even in mainstream sources, that it's just a completely bankrupt theory and there's actually nothing there. It's just an empty box.
So what about the evidence from the Hubble?
Yeah, but you don't even know that it's really there. Why don't
Hubble is Sophia.
Well, it's not even that. It's just that they're just making.
So that's wrong as well.
No, they're just making. Even if it was real, they're just making assumptions about what they're seeing, and there's no actual there's no actual test or proof.
Say something with meaning, you fucking idiot.
No swearing. Try not to swear.
You're the one that says nothing with meaning, Alan.
Robert,
just get your photos and don't.
Have you looked at any evidence that suggests that the Hubble is a complete fake and a complete fraud, Alan?
Robert Bassano did a pretty good episode where he called up one of the leading administrators for Hubble and had an interesting conversation and discussed the fact that Sophia produces the exact same images that Hubble is supposed to.
Well, I don't even
Sophia.
I don't even think Sophia exists.
Right. all of this research was detailed in Clues Forum maybe 5-6 years ago. So you're way behind the times, Alan. And that's what I asked you. Have you, with your critical mind and in the light of the current sort of, have you investigated the possibility that the Hubble is a fraud and a fake? Yes or no?
Is it a fraud?
Yes. Have you investigated the possibility, I'm asking? I can post you links if you want, Alan, but
I don't want any links to your crackpot.
Alan, where's your photo?
There you go.
Can you show us your photos?
I sorted some photos for you.
There you go. Everything is crap without even knowing what I'm going to post, you little clown.
You have evidence that galaxies exist that you've made.
I've got pictures of the Milky Way and stuff.
That's not evidence.
Did you take them?
Exist.
Yes.
Oh, really? Well,
Yes.
present them then.
And then explain to us how that's evidence that galaxies exist.
Now, first, let's see what he's got.
Hold on. Let's just
while
while he's
he's
looking for
looking,
that. Hold on.
hold on.
While he's doing that, let's define some terms. What do you mean, Nummy, by the word galaxy? What do you actually mean by that word?
I mean the structure that has some sort of central, like what do they call it? A barycenter,
A black hole. Every galaxy has a black hole in the
could
center.
be a black hole that all the stars, that there's a local cluster of stars that are orbiting a center, and we are claimed to be in one, and this thing is claimed to be like a large flat disc shaped object, more or less, like a macro object. And it's not clear what's holding these supposed galaxies together, but they apparently are able to define the structure quite quite in quite a lot of detail. What I'm saying is that where is the evidence that allows them to construct this a representation of this structure and place the Earth and other objects within it, and with any confidence?
So are you saying that all the pictures from the Hubble are fake?
It has nothing to do with that. I mean, the Hubble is not even.
I'm saying that the Hubble doesn't exist.
Yeah, I don't think the Hubble exists, but that's not even part of the argument. I'm asking for the evidence that these large, three-dimensional disc-shaped structures in which stars orbit a barycenter, thought to be a black hole, exist at all. I want to know how are they modeling these structures and placing individual objects within them.
It's all a belief for Alan and his kind, and they can't even use their own imagination. They're just parroting the imagination of others. There's no one doubting that when you point your camera at the sky, Alan, that you would get something, right? But in terms of analyzing and detailing exactly what it is you're seeing, that's a different story altogether, isn't it?
Now, I'd like to see something because I've never seen anything other than just stars.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
maybe somebody could make or fabricate whatever a non-digital giant telescope.
Aren't pictures of lights in the sky enough?
No.
And
Really?
Alan, how come you're not showing us your photos? Because if you don't show us some photos, I think I'm gonna have to assume that you're just lying about your
Well,
photos.
I'll sort some photos for you, no problem. I'm just wondering.
You're saying that, but you're
So when
He's got to download them first.
No, I haven't.
well, how long is it going to take you?
Well,
For me, just while Alan is doing that, for me, the greater the power of the telescope, the greater the power of the microscope, right? So you're actually looking at something that's a fixed distance, and you are just sort of zooming in on it. So a telescope, microscope are one and the same thing.
Well, that's interesting too. I remember Robert Bassano again. I don't know if you checked out any of his stuff, but I think it's really good. But he argued that we can't even see microscopically to the -8 or something like that, and yet we can turn around and we can see extensively to the +16.
Yeah,
And
it's
he's like,
ridiculous.
you can't do that. You can't.
We're actually just more stopgap measures. I don't think the Sophia telescope even exists.
I think.
Well, yeah, but his point was.
No, I agree with his point. I'm just saying, though,
Yeah.
I wouldn't assume that the Sophia telescope even exists.
Yeah.
I think it's just a cover-up of a cover-up of a cover-up of a cover-up. They're just layers and densely coiled layers of deception and lies.
So Numi, let me say, about this time last year, I looked in. As far as I'm aware, I'm the first to put forward the idea. I've come a long way since then, but the Milky Way to be found in the moon. So in other words, the pattern that we see the Milky Way expressing can be found in terms of a pattern on the moon. Now, I extended well beyond that. I found all of the different constellations on the moon as well. But one of the great things I did find was what's called the large and small Magellanic clouds, right? And once again, this area is, we're told, of course, it's billions and billions of miles away, and it's sort of billions of miles in sort of span. But this area as well is to be found on the moon. So we have a direct relationship between what we see on the moon and, well, what we see expressed, I guess, throughout the night sky. Let me just say, because we're on air again, the reason I come in was to ask everyone, actually, who was the first person that they know giving credit to the heliocentric model. And of course, the answer is going to be Copernicus, right? And we have putting the sun at the very center. And this is going back to times, let's say 200, 300 BC. Now, in my own reckoning, none of these times, first of all, didn't exist, and the people themselves didn't exist. So the very, hang on, let me just,
200 BC, so
hang on, let me finish.
When was that? When, where?
Aristarchus of Samos was said to live in maybe 200 BC in Greece.
Okay, so Greek.
He was Greek, funnily enough.
Right, but he didn't exist, right? But my point is, oh, it's so funny, Alan. It's so funny. I mean, you're as old as the hills, so maybe you'll remember him personally, right?
Yes, I used to go to bingo with him.
Yeah. Well, your number is always up, Alan, right?
Yes.
Anyway, listen, but the point is that this name should be at the tip of every flat earther's tongue, right? But yet it isn't. Now, when we look at the central star of the sky, which is the Polaris star, everything revolves around it. Well, look at the name itself, Polaris, Polaristarchus. So these are all clues for us. And, well, we do well to follow the clues. That's what I would say. If I was just to say where I've come now, and this is all provable as well, I won't be able to, I'm not going to prove it today, but... it takes time to sort of get your mind wrapped around it. But once you do, it's also provable. Well, Arwen, you see, for the first time now, this is provable. So we can find Aristarchus on the moon, but we can also, in terms of looking at pictures of the sun above the atmosphere, where we can see it's far from circular, right? And it has this distinctive pattern, emanating pattern surrounding it. We can also trace that back to Aristarchus. All the craters on the moon are the one crater expressing in refracted fractal form, right?
Okay, that's very nice claim, but do you have some actual visuals to back up that statement?
Oh, absolutely, Arwen. But I'm not gonna bring them up here because I don't want to take over the whole conversation. But absolutely.
No, but you already are. So it would be nice that while you're taking over the conversation, you'd actually.
So hang on, Arwen. I'm taking over the whole conversation, and I spoke for maybe about 2 minutes. Excellent.
But, but I have no problem entertaining the idea, but I'd like to actually see some visuals to support your claim.
Let me show you, so if you want, let me show you a picture of the sun above the atmosphere, right? And
no, I want to see the Aristarchus on the moon.
Okay, let me show you. I can show you that.
Pattern, so can you show it?
Yes, I can, man. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you don't want me taking over the show, this is going to take a bit of time, and I don't want to do that, really. Stepping on other people's toes, right?
Can't you just show it in one picture?
Sure. Okay. Okay. Let me just bring it up first. And once again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which crater you pick and on the moon and look into it with more detail. You're still looking at the same crater expressing, right? So let me just bring up a picture of Aristarchus. Well, do you want a picture of just the moon in general, and I can pinpoint Aristarchus for you? Actually, here it is. Perfect. Here we go. Nathan, if you want to share my screen.
Yeah, sure.
One sec. I'll just remember how to share screen on Google. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Green button.
Green.
Pete, you've been muted. Someone unmute Pete.
Yeah, only he can do that.
Yeah, only you can only unmute yourself, unfortunately.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, people don't like. See, this is the Aristarchus is the ultimate answer revealed, right? So people won't generally tend to like this. But anyway, if you can share my screen, Nathan, that's just a general picture of Aristarchus here. We can see it in its sort of luminous form. There's many more detailed pictures of it. Now, when we look at the moon, this is said to be...
Hold on. So when you say Aristarchus, you mean this crater has been titled Aristarchus?
Yes.
Okay.
Which crater?
When you look into this crater...
Sorry, just circle it, Pete. Okay. Which one do you mean?
The luminous one here, Nathan, in the center, right?
Well, there's
Now
two.
the funny thing is,
two.
Yeah, go on.
There's two. I'm circling two. So which one?
Oh, I can't see. I'm looking at my own screen.
The white one, the one that has a point of light in the middle.
Yes. That's what I mean. I can't see anything coming up on our screen here on the Google Hangout screen. So yeah, the white one, the luminous one. Now, if I was to talk about what we're seeing here, well, it's quite amazing actually, because if you look at the left there, a circle. This is called Herodotus, right? Herodotus almost. If I was to say to you that this is a reflected artifact of Aristarchus next door to it, you would go, hang on, this looks like it has a separate existence. Well, indeed, we are looking at there's only one creator. You notice how the two words are very similar. First of all, when we look at the moon, we're looking at a reflection, right? So yeah, we have to think in terms of sort of kaleidoscopic effects in a sense. All we're looking at is the one creator, which is Aristarchus, as it has been repeated, reflected, fractaled, if there's such a term.
Fractalized.
Right, exactly, and this is why I guess
a reflection of what? Sorry, Pete. Sorry, Pete. I'm lost. A reflection of what?
Right, this is the thing. So it is a reflection of. Let me bring up another picture of Aristarchus itself, and this is from. This is any picture, just Wikipedia, or there's plenty of different areas you can get it. Let me just.
He warned us that it would take over the show. He didn't.
Well, this picture's up. I mean, to me, this looks like an arc strike. If anyone's ever seen an arc strike, so you've got a positive and a negative point on it, and to me, that's just what it looks like, an arc strike. But I'm interested to see the next one. Oh, has Pete been kicked?
And then here we go. This is a close-up of Aristarchus, and listen, what I'm going to present you now, Nathan. And everyone else here, this is the most wondrous thing you will ever consider in your life. So don't rush to judgment on anything.
You're not presenting at the moment.
I've been studying this for a while. So here we go, Aristarchus. Now, this is all there is. This is a crater. First of all, what does it look like? Well, for me, it looks like a tree stump, right? It looks like a tree that's been decapitated, if you will, and you're looking down.
More like a wart.
Right.
Looks like an arc strike again. That's what it looks like to me.
Well, okay.
What's an arc strike?
Like if you were doing welding, right? And you've got it when you first start it. Well, that's what it looks like to me. And it's got 2 points. It's got a positive and a negative point on the picture before.
This is Aristarchus in close up. So we're looking at the same thing as the luminous body there on the moon. As I say,
how was this picture taken, if I may ask?
What's the source of the photo?
This is there's plenty of photos out there. This is just a general. I'm not sure if I got this on Wikipedia or wherever I got it. It's just a general photograph of Aristarchus. There's plenty of them around.
So it was taken with an actual with a camera from the Earth.
Looks like it was taken by the lunar orbiter.
Yes, well, it had to have been taken from the Earth. As I say, all the photographs of Aristarchus are seen from the moon. Once we understand that the moon is a reflection of the sun and the sun itself is Aristarchus, then we can sort of get a grasp on what's going on. Now, I can prove that the sun is Aristarchus because this is where it goes back to the high altitude balloon footage. So when we look at the sun above the atmosphere, a very different picture paints itself for us, right? We're not talking about the most spherical body in the universe anymore, the most circular body in the universe. No, we're not. I'll just post a picture of the sun above the atmosphere. And the beauty about all of this, it's provable, right? It's provable. In one sense, it's like a stencil, and it's like the pattern that the stencil expresses on when it's painted onto a wall. When you make a comparison between the stencil and the pattern, you can say after a certain amount of comparison that we're dealing with one and the same thing, right? So let me just.
Okay, well, let's see it.
Okay, let me post it. No, it's not going to. It's a bit more to it than that. Let me post a picture of the sun above the atmosphere. First of all, Arwen, and I'll point out the pattern, right? That is.
Yeah, I can recognize patterns pretty well, so let's see it.
Excellent. Okay.
I'll make up my own mind.
Well, I did tell you about this months ago, Arwen, and you sort of laughed it off, but that's fair enough. I'm used to that.
I'm still not over that, really.
I know.
I'm just entertaining your concept.
Been muted, Pete. Just so you know,
the great secrets of the universe.
Yeah, they don't like me. They don't like me talking about this. We know that.
Maybe it's because you're using the word proof.
But no, I didn't say. I said it can be proven. Every one of these things.
Yeah, but it's a risky word to use. But please.
Oh no, well that's why I use it, Arwen. Is because.
Yeah. Go on.
Arwen, you're behaving like a baller here, right? You're behaving like a baller. Let's first hear the fucking language. Let's hear the matter. Let's hear the matter before you judge it, right?
I like your ideas. I think you have a very unique mind, Pete, and I'm game to hear what your ideas are.
Excellent. And can I just ask, Nummy, didn't you express before that you agree with the idea that Will Smith has always played the role of Barack Obama according to the?
Well, I said I thought that was.
Let's stick to the subject. I want to see that.
Let's not get into this. No.
I know. I just wanted to point this out. Okay, here we go. Here's the picture. Can you see my screen? I think I'll have to sort of stop sharing.
Yeah, we see.
Reshare.
It's Arc Strike, right?
No. I'm showing the picture of the sun above the atmosphere, Nathan. So,
you're not presenting it yet.
Okay. Hang on. Now the beauty of this is that every single image you get of the sun above the atmosphere, you will be able. Here we go. Now can you see my screen?
Right.
Excellent. So if you can see it here, it's a shard. Look at all these shards here, right? Now, first thing you have to understand is, as I say, this is just from any standard balloon high altitude footage.
It doesn't look perfectly round. I have to admit that.
Right.
It does kind of seem a bit wobbly in the same way.
Now think in terms of 3D, Arwen, right? So obviously with pictures, it's difficult to do that. But if we think in three dimensions, what we're actually looking at here is a crater. We're looking into something that is expressing. But what I want to draw your attention to is you see the shard-like pattern around it here.
Lens flare.
Well, Nathan.
It's not just regular lens flare.
Thank you. No, it isn't the lens flare, Nathan, and this is what can be proven as well. So with disparate and separate images of the sun above the atmosphere from different countries, we have this pattern which is exactly similar. It's exactly the same. So this is a property of the sun itself and whatever we think the sun might be.
Do you have another photograph? I'd like to compare it if it is actually the same pattern.
Absolutely, and I can show you where to find that pattern as well because I've done the analysis, Arwen.
No, my visuals are good. I can see if it is the same.
Let me just see if this one is a different one. Hang on now. Okay, I've drawn in some lines in that. So just bear with me. You can still see that picture, so it's worth examining a bit more. Let me see. Yeah, that's exactly what I did as well, Arwen, is go through quite a few different... okay, I think I'll have to stop sharing as well, right? This is a perfect example. So I think I'll have to stop sharing and reshare. Bit of a pain in the ass. Maybe I should have just shared my whole screen, Nathan, because there's no fear of me. There's no fear of me sharing the link, right? So I think that's what I'll do. Just share my whole screen
anyway. But while you're doing that, I'll just bring up my images for the audience's benefit. So this is this is
isn't that the same image?
So this hold on a second, sorry, just for the audience's benefit. So I've got a street light doing the exact same thing. Just
well, okay, Nathan. Now you look at the pattern, right? The shard-like pattern expressed from the street light. Can you match it up to the sun here?
I think we should. Let's try to set a limit on how long we're gonna
go on this. I'm happy to leave it here. As I said to Arwen, so it takes a bit of time, and when you're considering this for the first time, let me just say I can leave it there. But if you bring up, let's say, crater Copernicus on the moon, and you examine the shard-like patterns, let me do that actually, just to show you that this is where you can go to make the comparison. When you examine the patterns that are emanating from both, you will find that it is a direct match. So not only is the sun crater Copernicus or crater Tycho, this is what I'm talking about, all of these different craters in inverted commas are the same crater expressing, which is Aristarchus. So this is my point. Let me just go back to HD Moon. And as I said, I've long since been through this, so I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, as with any investigation, you have to hear the idea out first and then sort of take it from there. I'm happy to leave it after this.
Pictures of my icon in there.
Oh, well, I have loads of pictures, Arwen. I'm very, as I say, there's some great minds on Flat Earth, and you have one of those great minds, Arwen.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, but we mustn't close it off to we preconceived sort of ideas, or if we find an idea ridiculous. So here's Copernicus, right? So would you believe that this crater here is also the same here? You can see the patterns almost emanating immediately when I show you these patterns here. You can see it, the shard-like patterns. It's all the same thing. It's the same with Tycho down here. You can see the same patterns.
Yeah, well, now that you're saying it, it kind of like the way it waves out, it does seem somewhat similar to the way the sun rays were waving out. But
yeah, it's not just similar. You see this big swathe here on the moon, Arwen? That is the Milky Way.
You're talking about fractal patterns and saying that because there's fractal patterns in more than one thing that they're the same. That's just nonsense.
But hang on, Nathan, you're only after hearing this idea for the first time, right?
No, but you've just summarized it. You know, you're looking at the fractal nature of the world. That's what you're looking at.
Right. No. Well, there's more to it.
The similarities are very keen, but doesn't really prove that it is literally that.
No, I know. I'm not going to.
Just a connection, I think. Maybe a connection.
It's called the inverse square law.
Listen, let me make my point just a little bit clearer, and I'll shut up then. It's a bit complicated, right? If you haven't considered these things before, what I'm trying to say ultimately is here we have Aristarchus here, and look at the shard-like pattern again. These are all matched. You can match these up to the sun, to Copernicus, to any crater you see here. You're looking at the same thing fractally expressing. So millions and millions and millions of different Aristarchus. Now, when we're looking at the moon here, we're looking at a reflection of a solid source. That solid source, as I showed you, Aristarchus here, first of all.
But wait, Pete, if you're saying that like the pattern, the wavy pattern of each of these craters are exactly the same, you should be able to get some pretty conclusive evidence of this by basically cutting each of the patterns out, then working on them with Photoshop and overlaying them. And then if the patterns are exactly the same, you would definitely see that.
Right. And
so I would try to do that to support your argument there.
Well, let me
just showing it and saying it looks exactly the same.
I understand that. I didn't come on here to speak about this, Arwen, but look.
No, I'm just trying to help you.
No, for absolutely sure. And I know this as well. You see, it was my individual journey in the first place. So I didn't sort of set out to try and prove this to anyone else. I wanted to prove this to myself. But I didn't keep a sort of a detailed sort of pathway through it all, or I didn't sort of plan to put out videos in that sense for the sake of consumption of others. This is more about myself. Can I just say, this is Aristarchus here, so ultimately this is what you're looking at. Can you spot the 8 in the center here, first of all? I think everyone has not much of a problem. I said the bowlers all seem to have a problem with spotting the 8 in the center here. This is where the heart of Aristarchus is infinity, right? This is where we get the symbol for the 8, and everything ties back in. Now, I'm sure you might also have maybe spotted the G as well. I'm going to say the Masonic G.
Why would you say such a thing? You've just asserted that this is where we get the symbol 8 and the infinity symbol from.
Yes.
Well, how can you assert that? How can you possibly assert that that's where it's come from?
Can you see it, first of all, Nathan?
I can see it, but
I see another. I see it, but there is even
but if I went and found a number 8, if I found a natural phenomenon, if I found a natural, hold on, Owen, if I found something etched into a mountain that was a natural formation that happened to be in a figure of 8, I couldn't point it out to you and just assert that's where we got the infinity symbol from. That's just an assertion.
Okay. I understand, Nathan. So what I'd have to do then is explain exactly where I've come to in all of this. As I said, I don't want to take up all the time, but if I asked you what you're looking at, have you decided what you're looking at here? And Arwen, you are going to be fascinated by this once I tell you. I'd rather let you find out yourselves, but I mean, I can tell you, you have to examine these things and sort of, wrap your brain around what you might be seeing. But all I'll say to you as a clue is you are looking at a fractal pattern. For instance,
I can go with that.
Did you see the words that Nummy just put up? Pareidolia. Do you know what that means?
Yes, I do. When you see the face of Will Smith in Barack Obama and you come to the conclusion that Will Smith plays the role of Barack Obama. Is that right, Nummy?
That's not what I mean. I'm just saying that, I think that what you're showing with this crater, figure 8 and G and things like that. I mean, yeah, you can as soon as that's suggested, I can sort of make it fit, but I don't.
Looking for animals in the clouds. That's
right. Animals. That's where the term comes from. So it's Okay,
Right.
this is just what they say, but they say it's as part of your defense mechanism. So if you can be acutely attuned to what a cat would look like hiding in the bushes, you'll see that because you're tuned to look for it. Well, that's because the cat in that analogy is the threat. Well, in this instance, if G is the threat because it represents masonry, then maybe that's the same effect that you're experiencing.
But here's the thing that you don't know, Nathan. For instance, I could give you many examples. The Liberty Flame is what's mirrored here in the center, right? So the Statue of Liberty actually represents Aristarchus and Herodotus when you look at a plan view of the Island of Liberty, or what do you call it, Liberty Island. Now, did you know, for instance, in 2001: A Space Oddity, where Moonwatcher, the ape that found the monolith, he found it within a crater, right? So when you do a comparison of crater Aristarchus to the crater in which the monolith was found, you will see a match. So there's much more to this story than you.
So
and
what?
it's interesting that you use the word.
Sorry, that's
So
you're just
what?
stretching it.
No, I can prove
Hey,
these
let's
things
just get this
are
done. Arwen, you demanded that he do this, but he didn't even want to do this. It's going to take over.
No, but I do like the comparison with the sun and the crater, and I'm
Okay,
very
well,
curious if the patterns
we
on the
can talk
moon
about it
of
afterwards.
the craters are
This doesn't
similar.
Go anywhere. The
I'd
problem
be
with this
curious
idea,
to find out.
problem with this idea is that it can't be falsified, right? The problem is that it's not disprovable.
Now it could be if the patterns of the craters are similar or not similar. That is definitely provable. You can
No,
cut
that
them
just
out
proves,
and overlay
that
them and
proves the
see if they
fractal
are
nature
similar.
of our
There's
world
another-
only. That's it. It proves the fractal nature of our world. That's it.
No. There's much more to this story, Nathan and Nummy. Come on,
No,
man.
there isn't.
There's
You
much
can
more
read
to the
more
story.
into it if you choose to, Pete. But
No.
you know,
Hang on,
actually
Nathan.
demonstrating
That is
it
for
with
the
evidence.
storytellers, Pete.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
You
That's what
exactly
you're
it. It's
for.
just a story.
It's like
If you can
reading
present
one
evidence to
first
back
page of a
it.
book and going, well, I know what's going on here. Can I just say Pyrodelia is an interesting choice of names, right? It's like when you see faces and patterns in the clouds. Well, isn't it funny that you can see Aristarchus expressing in the clouds as well? And that's why I think, hang on, please. Who's laughing there?
Sorry.
Who's laughing?
Yeah, that's me, Arwen.
Okay, Aaron, I mean, will you, if I prove this to you, will you come along and apologize for laughing at me?
But you won't be proving it.
I
You'll just be
doubt it.
showing
I
it
doubt
us.
that you can.
You'll just be showing it us. That's the problem.
Right. So again,
Nope.
once again, there's so much more to present, and you're judging the matter based
Okay,
on.
well, we better
No,
extend.
I'm not judging you. I like the first angle of the thing that you're presenting, the fractal nature, and comparing it to that sun pattern. I thought it was very interesting. But then you do the typical Pete Shia thing.
Piche, not Shia.
Sorry, Shia. You do your Pete thing and you just overstretch the conclusions into infinity, and that is what you always do. And it's
Don't
okay.
mention infinity.
It's your stick.
So because you haven't considered the matter fully, you can make this judgment. Let's hope you're not rash to judgment, Arwen. Let me just say
No,
about.
I think that you're kind of rash to judgment.
Well, we'll see about that. Tom.
Okay,
you're
right.
tying
Let's draw this to a
everything-
conclusion then.
Can I
Fine,
just finish
fine,
what I'm
right,
saying about
fine.
Pyrodelia, right? This is why it's so close to pedophilia, I think, right?
Oh God, no, that's it.
No.
No more.
Is that
Pareidolia, paedophilia, they're not the same thing, and it's nothing to do
very
with
close?
flat Earth.
Pyrodelia, pedophilia.
No,
Now,
No,
I know my idea is that Aristarchus is seen expressing in the clouds on a continual basis. So the fact that if someone became aware of this, this is what I'm saying is sort of.
What does it
a
prove,
put-off
Pete?
of Looking into
what
it.
does
This
it
is how I
actually
think.
prove?
But anyway, that's a
What
different
does it
matter
prove?
again. All these things sound strange to the ear who hasn't heard. or
Okay,
considered.
strange or otherwise, Pete, what does it prove?
What does it prove?
Yeah.
It proves that Aristarchus is the ultimate answer revealed. Aristarchus is the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets. We're living in a hall underneath a hall of mirrors, and we have this fractal, kaleidoscopic, reflective pattern expressed everywhere. When Arwen says we're looking at
I
holograms,
can
we
support
are not. We're looking at a
all of
light
the
show.
heavens.
We're looking at a light
Concept.
show.
It could be something like that, but
Right, your last
Where
statement I can agree
everything
with. We
there
have
is a bit
fractal
far.
patterns that appear everywhere. That much I can get behind. So fine, let's leave it at that.
Okay, my last word then is the clue is in the name. Pole Aristarchus is the primary point of impact where Aristarchus in the north center hits off the barrier above and refracts around. Pole Aristarchus. So this is your clue. I'm happy to leave it there. Just encourage everyone to look at this picture, not just for a minute, look at it for 10 minutes, look at it for as long as you like, and until you see the fractal nature of it.
so could you perhaps compare it with the
Arwen.
No. I kind of I'm trying to get into Pete's mind here, and could you compare it with
Yeah, but we're
Lucifer
all-
crashing down
We're in
into
the show, though.
into the fractal nature of the Earth and
Arwen.
basically changing everything forever?
Arwen, I'm going to show
Could
you.
it be that?
I'm going to show you the all-seeing eye of providence. Here it is. Let me show it to you. See my what do you call it? Here it is. Here. This can be seen in Aristarchus because this is a source, but it can also be seen reflecting in the clouds. It can be seen in the moon. I can point this out to you where it is. Again, this is where, that's why I asked you, can you see the H? Can you see the G? The actual Aristarchus itself takes the form of a Q. So these are all things that I know to be true, and well, other people know to be true.
The observations that you see and the things that you say you can see may be true. The simulacra may well be there, but it doesn't mean that the connection you draw is true. But you have no evidence of the connection, only the observation of the thing itself. Sorry,
I can find
Pete.
the Milky Way along here. Do you know the serpent? You know the serpent that NASA had, the serpent tongue, Nathan? This is it here. Can you see it? This is what they're telling you. And this can also be found expressing in the clouds.
I wanted to argue with Alan about galaxies, and now, there's no time.
Nami, I know you have your limitations, man. Do you think I don't know that?
Come
I know
on.
you have your
I
limitations.
thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Yes,
no,
Pete,
yeah,
I
that was
liked where
brilliant.
you started off.
Can I just show one more image, please? And I typed in repeating patterns in the clouds, right? And this is what came up.
Do what you
And I
like,
said,
Pete.
well, holy
If you
gosh.
want to
you know the
dominate this
rabbit
whole
ears?
conversation, you
You
can.
know Hang on. You know the rabbit ears you see in the moon? This is
Oh
it
my
here.
God, these are
No,
clouds.
it's a crocodile. Come on.
These are clouds.
Right, this gaping mouth. I call it the gaping mouth.
Come on, Pete.
Like a
I've got
racehorse to me.
enough simulacra. I've had
you can
enough.
see where
Come on.
most ridicule is coming from, Nathan.
No,
And-
wait, it's a dragon.
Come on, no more. Don't want to look at clouds, please.
All right, Nathan. Can I just ask you one more question, Nathan? You talked about John Le Bon. John Le Bon talks about 9/11 being a media fakery extravaganza with very few deaths. Do you agree with him on that?
I have no idea. I wasn't there. I don't believe a word the television says. If the television says 9/11's real, I'll probably disagree with it.
So that's as far as you're willing to go. Are you kind of restricted in being able to talk about this sort of stuff, Nathan?
No,
No,
it's called being a
My
skeptic.
only input with 9/11 was to have watched it happen on the TV. That's my only involvement with it. And I renounce TV. I don't have a TV. I'm not interested in TV. I think the news lies continually. Everything's a narrative. Yeah, I'd rather class myself as an auto-hoaxer in that regard.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. And Nami, the same question to you. You are in the entertainment industry and TV. You're involved with TV somewhat. Do you think that 9/11 was a media hoax, as per John Le Bon, with very few, if any, real deaths?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Excellent.
I don't know why you're testing the panel, Pete. We're all on the same page in this regard. Surely you know that after 3 years.
No,
Come on.
it's not about all on the same page, Nathan. I've got much stick from ballers and flat earthers alike. Isa Mihalski, for instance, Haunted House. These people are there calling me a lunatic because they're in New York.
I don't think, Pete, I don't think you're a lunatic, but I do think that sometimes your imagination runs away with you in terms of looking at still imagery, like
That's right.
where you're going with that, like, seeing images and clouds and stuff. Like, I think that it just becomes a stretch. I think that you have some really interesting and unique insights, but that
right. So when I go out,
look for patterns and you do find them, but then
you're there.
draw overly stretched
They're
conclusions.
there, man. When you know what you're looking
We're
for,
given
you-
the same
Yeah,
grilling
there
to
are
Alan.
pattern
Hold on,
connections,
Owen,
but
hold
you
on one
tend to
second.
draw overly stretched conclusions.
Hold on,
That's the
Alan.
point,
Just let me
when you
get.
know
Hold
what
on,
you're
hold on.
looking
Let me just get this in. So we've given Alan the exact same grilling. So he's saying he's looking at pictures of lights in the sky and then drawing conclusions. Now, it might be that his conclusions are the same as the official narrative, but it makes no difference on this panel. When he draws a conclusion based on a picture of lights in the sky, we go preposterous. You can't just assume that this stuff is X, Y, and Z based on a photograph of it. And you're doing the same exact thing.
But Nathan, I told you I have
Hey,
much more evidence.
Pete,
Hang on, Nathan was asking me something. Nathan, I told you I have much more than this. For instance, fall street clouds. You probably don't know what they are. Yet I can match them up to Aristarchus, right? These same patterns are emanating, and these same patterns are visible earth-wide. So this is what I'm saying. I'm not presenting half of what I have here.
But we agree on that regard.
You can find a cloud. The clouds are constantly changing, and if you look at enough pictures of clouds, you're gonna find a cloud that can match any pattern, really.
Right, you're detailing the fractal nature of clouds now.
Yes. Yes,
Well,
they
they
are.
are
It's a
fractal in nature.
reality.
as our most natural things.
Yeah,
Like even
exactly.
the way mountains are shaped are fractal. Like we
Spot on,
Arlo,
Arwin.
this is the
You're
beauty of
finding
this, right?
correlations.
Hang
You're
on.
finding
This is
correlations.
okay. I get the message, but this is the beauty of all of this. If you look up, for instance, the craters on Easter Island, or if you look, hang on, man. If you look up,
We gotta
Hang
stop
on,
you.
just one more word. Hang on, just one more word. 30 minutes.
shut up, Alan, you little shit. Shut up, you coward.
Come on.
Let's
No,
hope you meet in Dublin.
No, Pete,
Alan, and
you
be
got
so-
plenty of room to explain your Astarchus
Yeah.
concept, and I find it
That's what I say,
interesting.
because it's a reference to me. If you find a crater on Easter Island, or Barringer crater is a great example in Arizona, and you compare it to Aristarchus, you will find almost a perfect match. That's all I'm saying. I won't say.
All right,
I'm happy to yield here.
all
Off
right.
you go, Alan.
Do you shout at clouds, Pete?
Alan, you're just a little coward, right? That's all you are. You're
Right,
like-
this
Yeah,
will not
Alan,
descend
where-
into
where
ad
are you-
homs.
You're
Stop
on-
right
on
there.
Discord,
No way.
you're
No,
nasty
no, no. Right, let's just change
All
the
right.
subject.
The nastiness comes out in him then, more so in Discord, Nathan.
He's our panel troll. Come on, just
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
You
Thank
two,
you,
Arwin.
Arwen. My lovely little wizard.
And you think he's an old age pensioner, Alan, or Arwen? Do you
We've
believe
started,
that?
Pete.
no.
Right, thank you.
But he already admitted to that
Right.
he didn't fight in World War II.
Right.
Yeah, because we all believed him.
He's challenged. Let's see if he does this then. He's challenged to meet me in Dublin. He said he's coming to Dublin, meet me up, because he was being nasty on a Discord channel. So I said, no problem, I'll meet you. Not for the purposes of confrontation, but if you want to meet me, I will meet you. So let's see if you have the courage to do that, Alan.
Pete will meet you all right.
Oh dear, send me a number, I'll give you a call.
Whatever. Okay. I'm happy to yield.
Oh. Wow. Anyway, who wants a cup of tea?
Yes, please. 2 sugars.
2?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, I'm having tea.
I thought you were sweet enough.
No. That's tea, not urine.
No, that is tea.
Well,
That
I assume it
That
is.
was quite funny.
Thanks for the comparison, Nathan.
You just don't know, do you? There's no pictures.
Nah, I wouldn't do that in front of the microphone.
So, Alan, have you found your galactic photos yet?
Yeah, I got some pictures.
Present
Excellent.
them.
I just need to put them on a different website that doesn't give my real identity away.
We don't care.
Well, why don't you just open them in a viewer and present it?
My
You don't have
desktop,
to put it on a website.
my desktop's quite messy.
Yeah, you
You
don't
don't
have.
even have a photo viewer. That's basic.
No,
installment
I do have them.
If you want to share without showing your stuff that's private, just use application window. So when you click share, Alan, there's 2 tabs. One is application
used to
window, one is
before,
whole
but
scrn.
I'm bound to bugger it up. So, but I will share them. I do have some.
I'll stick the photos up, so the Hangout's not shared anymore if you want to get yourself ready and then show them, and then I'll put the Hangout up when you say you're
I
ready.
need
So
to convert them from RAW to JPEGs, I think.
always some excuse.
Yeah, excuses.
I'll
Surprise,
sort them,
surprise.
don't worry.
I'm not worried. It's just as I predicted. So,
No, it's
all
not.
involved.
What do you think about the millions of pictures of the Milky Way if you were to Google it? Do you think they're all made up?
Think they don't
I've
prove
seen them
that they're
myself,
galaxies.
but I was asking you for proof of that galaxies exist, scientific proof.
Nah, scientific proof's never gonna work.
Well, yeah.
Just some visual proof, some actual photographic evidence.
What I was actually
Would be
interested
nice.
in, I was trying to bring up at the beginning of this, is that there's no even data available that explains how they've constructed the model of galaxies, like how they arrived at the conclusion that we're in this disc-shaped structure, and that we have and that they can ascertain our exact location within that structure and the location of other stars and other objects that they claim to know the exact locations of in the galactic structure, right? And there's no like interactive model of the galactic structure.
Nami, what do you think? What do you think of applications like Skyview that I use?
Yeah, well, that's not, that doesn't, all that does is
How do they
explain-
know that? How did they map that?
Easily, it's just a
By
cyclical pattern that
observation.
they've observed.
It's just a localized pattern that you
Easy,
can
absolutely
itself.
easy. Do you think it's complicated?
I would imagine so.
Do you think it's dependent on the heliocentric model?
I would imagine so, yes.
No, it absolutely isn't. They've been doing it long before the heliocentric model. They knew what the stars did in terms of their
yes,
cycles.
but in Skyview, you can see below the horizon as well if you choose to. So,
what I'm trying to point out is that they just suggested that, well, they just asserted this galactic fantasy as fact. And when you try to dig into, like, you know, if you try to actually find the primary data, the primary sources, the explanation as to how this structure was modeled, how the conclusions were arrived at, there's not even any data. There's not even anything. There's no book.
Sorry, Namid. I am interested in Alan's comment about being able to see below the horizon, because this is like the same argument as someone with an equatorial mount for the telescope. And they say, well, you know, if I just leave it to run a full cycle, it'll follow them go underneath the Earth. And that somehow qualifies to them as a proof of something. So being able to see below the horizon in a model of a ball, is that somehow proof to you that you are on a ball?
well, I am on a ball.
You're not. But I'm asking if that is somehow a proof to you of that belief that you hold.
Well, I can set my telescope up. I can see things below the horizon when they're coming. Set the timer, and what do you know? It comes above the horizon.
So the example I just laid out of an equatorial mount, that is literally the proof you are now going to use. I love it. That's brilliant, Alan. Thank you so much. Your timing is perfect.
We could become a team.
But it's a crap proof.
Well, at the end of the day, what does it matter?
It'll do, Alan. It'll do, Alan.
Okay. I mean, if that's a proof to you, then, you know, fine. Whatever. Great. If you don't see the inherent flaw in it, then fine.
And can I just say as well, I also mentioned the Milky Way and the moon last year. That might sound a crazy sort of combination to a lot of people, but someone has independently found the star systems to be mapped out on the moon as well. So these things are true. So now we got to come to the proper reasoning and mechanism behind what's allowing this to happen. So for all the world, we are dealing with a hall of mirrors up there and a reflected light show, right? So this is clear to all of us flat earthers, to ball earthers, of course. There's no getting through to. Not one of them. I don't know one ball earther who has changed their position on one thing whatsoever in all the years I've been doing this. I've been a flat earther since about 2013. So that sort of gives away.
I don't agree to that. They do definitely change their stance on certain details, at least, and then they argue among one another about them.
Yeah. Well,
so
that's just because, yeah, they have to sort of combat some of the arguments put forward by flat earthers, right? But fundamentally, they don't change Arwen and
not the bigger picture.
Right.
The foundation that it has to be a globe, of course, still remains, but they do have different opinions in different regions. So it's not they do definitely change their minds as they do research.
Right.
But they stick to the basics. They stick to the basis.
Well, they are allowed a little bit of leeway, but again, as you say, all the basics are copper fastened, and there's no budging from that. So this gives the game away, of course, because look at how much the honest investigator has changed in terms of their worldview since coming to flat Earth realization. And can I just say, myself, regarding the realization that Aristarchus is the ultimate answer, flat Earth sort of becomes irrelevant in one sense because so much more. I'm just saying from my own point of view, didn't I, Arwen? So Aristarchus is not only without, it is also within and applies to the very heart of us. Aristarchus is an anagram of Christ's aura. Now, let me just say, AU is gold, right? Ra is the sun. When we get to question religious and the whole Jesus story, we're led down the pathway to understand that Jesus is the sun. So Aristarchus being Christ's aura, Aristarchus being actually the literal sun, and Jesus being the sun as well. That's a perfect anagram. So
right. So Aristarchus is Jesus now. Interesting.
No, Jesus is Christ. Christ is the Son, right? The Son is Aristarchus.
That's according to the Gnostic interpretation.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Now I can understand why. Anyway, look forward to seeing you, Alan, in Dublin. So thanks for listening, and thanks for letting me on there, Nathan. And,
it's a pleasure.
I'll talk to you again. Okay, take it easy.
Right.
Could have swore the last time he came on, the dodo was the answer to everything.
Yeah, well, the Aristarchus is his newest fad, so now everything is Aristarchus. Sorry, but still, I liked his comparison of the sun at the high altitude with the craters. Find it very interesting. Not too certain it is completely correct, but it did show somewhat similarities.
It's the dodo. It's Paul McCartney.
So where are those photographs, Alan?
Like I said, I'll sort them out. Stay behind. Stay after class, are we?
Giving him homework.
Publicly, of course.
I don't know if I'll have anything that will satisfy Numme. I think I'll show some pictures and say they
I
were.
mean, I'm curious. I don't think you'll have anything at all. So
Yeah,
whatever.
you still have your very, very first picture ever to show. You've never presented
I have a
anything
really
but
good.
links.
I have a really good picture of the Milky Way. That,
Yeah, that's what you say, but you've never actually presented anything except for a bunch of links, ever. So
well, you'll be surprised.
I will be. I will be just as surprised as when Rumpus actually says he's going to do something and he then does it, because he usually never does. And you seem to be showing the same kind of pattern here.
How dare you?
Not saying you're the same character-wise, but...
Shout out to Earth is Seriously Flat for the super chat, and hello to Unorthodox. How you doing?
I'm here. Hi.
Good to have
Yes,
you.
keep pressing the super chat. Nathan needs a new grill.
Got a new grill.
George Foreman and
Got
a
one.
coffee maker. So super chat away.
Got a coffee maker and a grill. I'm sorted for those things.
What do you need, Nathan?
New shoes.
Can I ask what the quintessential tea is in Britain? Like, what's everybody's favorite tea brand? I know it's kind of off topic, but you guys are talking about coffee makers. I'm just curious.
Twinings breakfast.
Twinings? Yeah.
Twinings breakfast tea.
I wonder if they have that over here in America.
Yeah, they do. They have Twinings in America. Yes.
Do they? I might have to pick some up then.
I like Earl Grey myself.
Yeah, Earl Grey's pretty good, definitely.
It's pretty rough for breakfast, though.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Getting a new shoe budget, Nathan.
Shout out to
More of a
Dank for the super
man,
chat.
but-
Much obliged. Incoming new shoes.
Lady Grey is pretty good as well.
I bet you wear a brown shoe, don't you, Nathan?
A brown shoe.
Yeah.
No, I like a black shoe.
I can imagine you in a brown loafer.
Is that so?
I could too. For some reason.
I don't even get what that's supposed to mean.
It's nice that you give my footwear that much consideration, Alan.
Brown loafer, white socks,
He just looks like a brown loafer kind of dude.
jeans, a t-shirt and a jacket. A bit like that guy off Top Gear.
Jeremy Clarkson.
Yes.
They're
Some
obfuscating. Alan is continuing to obfuscate because he has no pictures to produce.
Oh, nummy.
I suspect Alan is lying. I could be proven wrong, but
You will be.
There's only one way to prove that.
well,
Do
it's
you have a
about
large
presenting the
telescope, Alan?
pictures. You've had an hour and a half now, Alan, to come up with the goods.
I'm still recovering from Pete.
He was pretty interesting. I'll give him that much. He's definitely drawing some pretty big lines there, though. That's for sure.
Well, that is what Pete does.
Yeah,
He's a very interesting storyteller, but
yeah. It reminded me of the
the
Fibonacci
connections
sequence.
become infinite eventually.
Yeah, they sure. I mean, whenever you bring it up, well, you can see this in a cloud. You can see everything in a cloud.
Yep.
You know, at one point or another. So that's not much of an argument, but yeah, it definitely reminded me of the Fibonacci sequence and the Fibonacci patterns that you can get out of that. Which to me would be evidence if I was, if I believed in God, would kind of be evidence that, here's like a, kind of a mathematical language God has imprinted on the universe, but, I'm not that religious.
What I like about all this stuff is all these translations and words and individual meanings. It doesn't translate into any other language but English. Which is,
Oh, really?
No, none of it does.
I was talking to my brother about this the other day, and I imagine if I would come in here, if I would ask him to come and listen to the podcast, half the time he probably wouldn't understand what you guys were talking about, because it's you guys take it to such a I just like to say it uses semantics so much. Like, you guys take it to such a base level that most people don't think about. Like, you have somebody, why they think the earth is round, and you get down to the nitty gritty of, like, the facts you can prove. There's a long way to go from beginning to end, But
that's quite a mouthful of meaningless nothingness that you just said there.
What? How is that meaningless nothingness? I'm just saying, if somebody you never seen the live streams of the guy where he goes up to people and he asks them if they believe that they're on a spinning ball Earth.
Yeah, but
it takes them like 10 minutes.
You were talking about us, not some guy who's not here. So.
Well, I'm just saying he does the exact same thing you do.
Yeah, why are you putting that on us? Because we're not that guy. That guy's not here.
Because just this conversation alone.
Yeah, but this conversation isn't that.
Come on.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm not making.
I think you're just talking a bunch of shit.
Yeah, you don't understand.
Your infighting level is increasing.
My what?
Your infighting level.
My infighting.
He's just a contrarian. If I say something, he's gonna say no. No, me.
No,
yeah, it used to be like
I
that.
actually disagree with what.
My ass smells like flowers.
Okay, do you agree with what he's saying, Arwen?
I couldn't really follow it. You were talking through each other. So what was he saying?
No, I mean, the original thing that I was commenting on, I was just saying it's kind of a meaningless statement. I couldn't really follow it. It was just sort of a mouthful of nothing. So
whenever you talk about flat Earth, in order to get down to the nitty gritty of the bare facts that you can prove that mean that you're on a globe Earth, it takes a long time to get from somebody believing in a globe Earth down to the nitty gritty facts of, well, here's a flat Earth and here's this idea. I'm just saying it takes a long idea to make the transition.
No, that's not true. No, that's absolutely not true.
For most people, absolutely it is.
Is that the cosmogony and how everything is supposed to work? There's a lot more scripture and details worked out over a century about how the globe is supposed to work. So there's a lot more writing about it that we need to basically move away from.
I'm just saying, conversationally,
because so many people are religiously convicted that that is the truth. So we have a lot to defend against. But we have all kinds of connections, all kinds of observations, all kinds of evidences.
There's not connections or observations.
Sorry?
I'm just saying. I'm not saying there's any connections or observations. I'm just saying if you take a random person and you dump them in this conversation, half the time they don't know what the heck you're talking about.
Yeah, well, the same goes if you put a random guy into a bunch of architects talking about structural engineering. That's how that works. That's why we're specialized in this.
5 years to get a degree in, so I mean that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, well, we are doing this on our own. This is our study.
Yeah,
we are figuring it out as we go.
I'm not making any bigger conclusions. I'm just saying, like, if I asked my brother to listen to your podcast, half the time he wouldn't have a clue what we're talking about. That's just my point.
Yeah, well, that's not any kind of comment on the content of this chat.
Yeah, it just means we're in complicated stuff, and you have to basically learn some background stuff before you get into this.
You do, absolutely. And I sent him a link.
This is not a noob show.
You're saying that if an average Joe can't understand a conversation, then the conversation's not valid.
I'm not making any bigger picture arguments like that here. I'm just saying it's kind of interesting in that regard.
No, it's not interesting. You're literally saying absolutely nothing.
No, me, my butt smells like flowers. Could you argue against that?
No, me, as a child.
What stuff do you use?
No, me. As a child, did you spend a lot of time touching the hot tap?
What?
Stupid
obfuscation, Alan.
Idiot.
Can you argue against that, please?
No.
My statement.
But no, I'm not arguing.
He is right, but it's not really relevant.
Your statement. I'm saying that your statement is.
Well, there's only 10 minutes left in the show, so I'm not going to go into something deep.
I'm less than 5, but.
Melissa, I never argued against anything you said. I said your statement's meaningless. I'm not against the word. I'm saying it's an insubstantial and meaningless statement. It has no bearing on the conversation.
Well, it does if you want people
it's just a generalized observation.
You're saying you're saying if your brother came in here, he would have no idea how to participate in the conversation. As if that's
No, it would take him a while. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know, but you're acting as if that's some kind of meaningful commentary on the conversation.
No, he's not.
I mean, if you
No,
guys
he's
want
not.
more
That's
flat
your
earthers,
conclusion,
then
Alan.
it is an interesting observation. Do you
No,
want more
it's
people
not.
to be flat earthers? Do you want more people to recognize the truth? Maybe you should consider how.
No, that's not what this show is about. We're figuring out things as we go. And the way newbies are going to respond when they actually come across this show is by hearing new words, new terminologies. They're probably then going to pause the show, look it up on Google, look it up on other YouTube channels, see what it is, and then learn from that, and then eventually get back. That's probably what they're going to be doing.
And this is
very
coming
optimistic,
from someone who
Arwin.
doesn't understand the scientific method. And
Not me. You got squashed the other day. Come on, man. You guys couldn't rebut my scientific method example with anything.
we could. It just proved that you don't understand the scientific method, and also
You guys
that you
didn't have one clear rebuttal.
You're lying and pretending you're an engineer, which is you're a fraud.
You didn't
I'm
present
lying and saying I'm an engineer because I'm in accordance with 99% of science. I really don't see the logic
a scientific hypothesis. You didn't present science to us here. Sorry, just to get that clear, you did not present any science. You presented
the scientific
zero
body
science.
as a whole doesn't believe in gravity.
There's no scientific body.
Yes, there is. That's how science is done, by consensus. One person does an experiment and somebody else repeats it.
No, what an absolute load of crap. Science is not done by consensus. Science is a method of establishing cause and effect. And when you came on the other day, you absolutely in no way formulated a scientific hypothesis. What you formulated was utter garbage and in no way scientific. So to come on and now assert that you in some way demolished us is just nothing short of laughable.
You guys had no rebuttal.
We have a rebuttal. Science is not formed by consensus. It's absolutely ridiculous.
You're not supposed to repeat experiments and get the same conclusion?
Yeah, you are.
While science might be about systematic experimentation.
It's not a consensus. It's a repeatable concept.
Yeah.
You have to repeat it.
And as you continue to play this ridiculous game and make yourself look like an idiot, I'm saying that I think that is further evidence that you're also a fraud and lying about being an engineer, as you claim.
Wait, what is evidence that I'm a fraud? What's the evidence?
You don't understand even the basic concept of the scientific method.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully for sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you've not done so already, be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.
What a day! What a lovely day!